Jim Roller along with Jeremy Shaw in our broadcast center. Shea Adam is patrolling our Continental Tire pit lane as always. And Shea, we're all set for qualifying for the GT Daytona cars. What's the news?
The news is it's pretty much the usual suspects qualifying all the cars, except the only one that's really changed is the 23. It's going to be Super Mario Farnbacher driving that car to attempt to get his second pole of the season. Alex Riberas, his co-driver, is sitting off in the truck, just spending some time debriefing with the bosses at hand. But the other news, we didn't see the 540, the Black Swan Racing car, turn any laps during that last session. They are sitting out on the pit lane, so I'm just heading down to their box to try and find someone to talk to about why they didn't run the last time.
All right, thank you, Shea. John Potter getting in the number 44 Magnus entry. Those, he and Andy Lally were winners at the Daytona 24 Hours earlier this season. Jeremy Shaw, this is kind of what the day's build-up has been all about. We've had 2 practice sessions for these cars. We've seen some representative lap times. We've seen a couple of surprises. We've seen some teams struggle to come to grips with this racetrack. What are you expecting for qualifying? 3 separate classes, all in 3 separate sessions.
More of the same, more excitement, I think, to come here. It's going to be interesting to see who qualifies each of the PC cars later on in the session. We're going to start off with GTD, and I would certainly expect Mario Farnbacher to be the man to beat in this session, because he set the fastest time in the last practice session, 52.9. That was actually slightly slower than Andy Lally managed earlier in the day in session 1 for Magnus Racing in the Audi, but it won't be Andy qualifying that car, I believe, this afternoon. I think it's going to be John Potter. And John certainly isn't quite up to the same speed as Andy, but he was certainly getting quicker, a lot quicker in that last session earlier this afternoon. So he's getting closer to the pace, but I wouldn't expect that car to be necessarily a contender for the pole position. We've got Mario Farnbacher and Alex Riberas, and it will be Farnbacher who starts. That is the youngest driver pairing in GTD on a regular basis this season, and 2 drivers who are really, really talented and who are really, really quick and clearly good studies around here. Certainly Mario has been here before, but Alex, I believe, has not. But it will be Mario who qualifies the car this afternoon. And I would expect that number 23 car to be the favorite for the pole position.
Well, in an earlier session, we didn't see the 540. Shea, what's the news from that team?
Well, they came back at the end of the first session on a tow line with some engine issues, but they worked all through the second session and got them solved, so they're feeling good about qualifying. It will be the boss man, Tim Pappas, behind the wheel for that car for this session, and they're thinking that all of their problems that they had before won't be plaguing them again.
Okay, well, that's good news, and hopefully that will come to pass, as we are just moments away from beginning this qualifying session. We have it'll be a 15-minute session for each of the classes. So let's go back to Shea.
The cars that everyone should be paying attention to in GTD are the yellow and blue BMWs that we see on the pit lane, Turner Motorsports, and the guy with his name over the door, Will Turner. You guys won this race last year, and you won the last round, so things are feeling pretty okay in your pit box, aren't they?
Things are feeling okay now, but qualifying hasn't started. You know, this race tomorrow will be all about, I think, staying out of trouble, because there's so many cars on the track and everybody out there is here to win, right? And there can really only be 3 winners, so to speak, on the track. So that's going to be tough. Traffic and staying calm and just a little bit of luck might get us you know, to be competitive towards the end of the race. But there's a lot of teams here that have awesome driver pairings, and there's a lot of manufacturers that are really hungry for this. Of course, we're hungry as well, because this is our home track, and there's a lot of Turner Motorsport race fans here. But, you know, anything can happen, but we're going to give it our best.
Well, and it was such a good result to finally get the monkey off your back, so to speak, to get the win last weekend. Does that make it any easier to get more wins, or does it just make you hungrier to get more?
I think that just puts a little more pressure on us, because now everybody on the team is like, well, wait, we won once. Why can't we win every race? But, of course, that's almost virtually impossible the way as competitive as this series is. But we're going to try hard and see where we end up.
Green flag. Keep an eye on the 96 and the 97.
That's right. Good advice. Those two BMWs are quite quick. There's a couple of Audis, Jeremy, that we need to keep our eye on, as well as a couple of Porsches.
Indeed. So just briefly, just walk past Andrew Davis, who's going to be qualifying the number 6 Stevenson Racing Audi, and excuse me, number 9. Yeah, number 6 car was right first time, wasn't it? He gave me a thumbs up. He's happy, ready to go. Let's see what we can do, is what he said. The sister car from Stevenson Motorsports, who was quick this morning in the second session, it was Robin Liddell who set the fastest time, I believe, in that session, in that car that Andrew will be driving now. So, you know, the car is fast, and Andrew is feeling pretty confident. See what he can do this afternoon.
As I have said, it doesn't take long for the outlaps to get completed here at this racetrack. As you hear in the background, some of the cars going by, so it's going to be interesting to see which of these cars is going to lay down that representative lap time first, Jeremy.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And you know, it's conditions now pretty good. It's hot again. The sun is out again on the racetrack, so track temperature is up once more. We don't have that scoring screen at the moment, some internet problems, I guess, in the race control area, but it is hot. We can take our word for that. The track temperature was showing up at 145 degrees earlier on this afternoon. That's the I saw John Love from Michelin a little while ago, and he said that's the hottest track temperature we've seen all season long. So it's going to be a challenge for these guys now, but yeah, the cars are working well. They've got 2 hours of practice time under their belts, so we'll see what everybody can do. The first guy to lay down a lap, though, is predictably Mario Farnbacher. A first lap is at a 54.890 seconds. It compares to the best time he did in the practice session earlier this afternoon at a 52.9. So certainly some more time to come. That was his first flying lap. But
let's check in quickly with Shea Adam.
Alex Riberas, it's your first time here at Lime Rock. What do you think of this track so far? It's not like the ones in Europe, is it?
Well, absolutely not. That was the first thing the guys told me. Watch out here, man. It's quite tight and quite narrow out there. So I saw some onboard videos and I didn't think it was that bad. But then when you walk the track, which I did yesterday, you really feel that this place, it feels like a go-kart track. You know, it's like extremely narrow. You have to use all the space that you have in order to maximize every inch of this track, and eventually I think I got it right in the free practice. We feel quite strong with our Porsche 911 GT3R, and yeah, I really hope that Mario is going to do a good job. I really have all my trust in him, and I hope we're going on pole.
How crazy is it with all the traffic during practice?
Oh, I mean, it's insane, to be honest. I think it's the worst place I've ever been in regarding traffic conditions, because it's what I told you. It's just this place is so narrow that there's not much space for 2 cars, and sometimes you get even 3 wide. It's going to be a big mess tomorrow for sure, and definitely one thing is about taking care of the tires and being quick, but traffic management is, I think, it's going to be a huge key in order to perform tomorrow and in order to get that win.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
So our first representative times coming in, Jeremy. Spencer Papelli and Change Racing in the Lamborghini is quickest, 53.362. That's a bit of a surprise.
well, yeah, I'm not sure about the surprise. Maybe the surprise is that Spencer is qualified, but both he and Corey Lewis turned good lap times in that last session. That car was towards the front of the charts for most of it. They ended up in the 7th position. 53.5 was the best that car managed in the afternoon session. So, and indeed in the first session as well, actually, 53.5. We're now down to 53.2 for Spencer Papelli, so he's certainly getting on with the case. Andrew Davis, second fastest in that Stevenson Motorsports Audi car number 6. And Mario Farnbacher, all of a sudden, is all the way back to, well, he was 7th. He's now jumped up to 4th with a 53.8. Christina Nielsen, what a great effort by her in car number 63. That's a championship leader, Scuderia Corsa Ferrari 488 GT3. She's just turned a 53.50 to move into 2nd place behind Spencer Papelli.
Fantastic performance there. Andrew Davis in the number 6 Audi is 3rd quickest at 53.655. Cedric Spirituale in the Dream Racing Lamborghini, 53.835. Then comes John Potter in the Magnus Audi, number 44,
yeah, that's
at
a good effort
54.094.
He's done well, John, hasn't he? That's a good lap time. Certainly in contention there, John Potter. We'll just bump down one more position, down to 8th now. Another improvement for Mario Farnbacher, 53.664, but still only 4th fastest in car number 23.
So 9 minutes remaining in the session now. Pimpelli goes personal best in sector 1, so he is still out there pressing.
Christina Nielsen still 2nd fastest, her best qualifying so far. She had a couple of 3rd positions on the grid last year. Those were her best qualifying sessions to date. That was in the Aston Martin racing for TRG. Best qualifying so far this year has been...
Pimpelli improved to a 53.148 on that last lap. So now he's got a 3/10 second lead over Nielsen. Then Farnbacher is a further 10th back behind Christina, as he's now moved up into 3rd with a 53.549. 8 minutes remaining in the session. To me, this is a surprise, Jeremy. We have not seen this kind of speed at the top of the chart. Yes, they've been competitive, but they've not been at the top of the chart all weekend.
No, but they've been knocking on the door and getting better with every race too, getting more experience with that Lamborghini. The car of course, new to the series this season. And just talking about Christina Nielsen, wasn't I? And she has had a 2nd on the grid before at Mazda Raceway earlier this year. That was her best qualifying to date. She was also 4th on the grid at Watkins Glen. And she was 2nd, but she's no longer 2nd because it's Madison Snow. Lamborghini, all of a sudden, is 1st and 2nd. Spencer Pimpelli leads away with 53.1.
Now, are you surprised?
No, I'm not, because the Lambos,
I would expect
good.
Lambos to be 1-2 here, though.
No,
yes,
I wouldn't anticipate they're 1-2. I must admit.
I'm surprised that they're 1-2.
I'm very surprised they're 1-2. I'm surprised Mario Farnbacher isn't quicker, because this morning, the session just ended just an hour and a half or so ago.
Yeah, he was a blazer.
Yeah, he did a 52.9, didn't he?
Yes.
52 point.
I think it was
like
52.
Sure it was. Yeah, 52.992 for Mario Farnbacher. Hasn't gone within half a second of that in this session so far. So that certainly that's the bigger surprise.
Yeah, no, it hasn't gotten that much warmer.
No, conditions I would say are pretty similar to how they were a little while ago. But clearly the Lamborghini guys have read the situation correctly. Christina Nielsen improves. So look at that, 53.282 for car number 63. Christina Nielsen back up into 2nd place.
Excellent performance by Christina. Also, Ben Curtis now being starting to make some noise. 53.674, just 0.4 of a second off the pole time in the number 96 Turner Motorsports BMW.
Andrew Davis up into 4th place now with a 53.500, so ahead of bumps Mario Farnbacher, who did improve on his last lap. He's down to 5th place is Mario Farnbacher in car number 23. 53.538. So we've got the top 7 cars now covered by less than half a second. Brett Curtis, that's a stout effort by Brett too. He's driving with renewed confidence now.
Thank
this
you,
season.
Brett. I think I called him Ben. Sorry, Brett. It is Brett. I know better than that. Now Andrew Davis has gone purple in sector 1 in the number 6 Stevenson Motorsports Audi. He's just turned a personal best, 19.232 in sector 2. So look for him to improve on this lap unless he runs afoul of traffic. And he just goes through and goes up to 2nd at a 53.176, just 31 thousandths of a second off the pole, Jeremy. Fantastic effort.
That is impressive, isn't it? Yeah, just that is close. Brett Curtis also improves in car number 96, 53.5 for Brett, fractionally behind Mario Farnbacher. And Ben Keating, who's within 0.8 or just over 0.8 of a second. He's 12th fastest, number 33 Viper.
Wow. 0.8 of a second separating the top 12
For John Potter to get within, he's just 0.550 off the fastest time so far. That finds him 10th on the grid, and he's been showing good pace this afternoon, getting better and better and better. Improvement also for Christina Nielsen, but still third fastest. So it's 53.148 for Spencer Pumpelly, 53.178 for Andrew Davis in car number 6, 53.250 for Christina Nielsen in car number 63, and 53.330 for Madison Snow in car number 48. Now Matt Bell moves into the picture, 53.352 in the number 9 Audi for Stevenson Motorsport. So 0.204 covers the top 5 right now, with still just under 4 minutes remaining in this session. Great stuff.
That's amazing, amazing stuff. Spencer Pumpelly, it's not a surprise that Spencer is quick around this place. We've already talked about that in our 2 practice sessions earlier today. It's his experience around this racetrack, but I am surprised that he is the quickest. I was expecting it actually to be probably one of the Audis, or perhaps Farnbacher in that Team Seattle Alex Job Racing entry number 23, but he can't do any better than 6th.
No,
and he's only 391 thousandths of a second off.
Yeah, that's right, and he just brought that car into pit lane, so I think he is done for the session. Mario Farnbacher, that is a big surprise. They've certainly, I've got to say, underachieved in this session. They're 6/10 away from the time he turned earlier this afternoon to be fastest in practice 2, but currently 53.5 is the best he can manage, all the way down in 6th place for Mario Farnbacher.
3 minutes to go in the session. He would have time if he only stays there for about a minute for one flying lap. Maybe he could get 2 in, depending on when he times it. But
I'd say those tires are probably past their best, though, Jim.
Exactly. I would agree, and I don't think he's got time to sit there long enough to cool them down and get another heat cycle in them. 73 car hangs a wheel off, coming through the Patrick Lindsay, coming through in the Park Place Motorsports number 73 to complete his lap. Lost your internet connection just like I have. 2 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the session now. It's starting to come back. John Potter is done for the session. He's done everything he can do. He's out of the car. So we're waiting to see if anybody can get the final throws here. In the final minute and 45 seconds of this session.
Matt Bell did improve, though, up to 3rd place now in the number 9 Stevenson Motorsport Audi, a 53.222, so 0.074 away from the front spot. Christina Nielsen just 0.102, she's 4th, but it's still Spencer Pumpelly who leads the way.
And Christina Nielsen has come into the pits, so she will certainly be done, as we have a minute 22 seconds remaining in this session. Definitely not time to get back out.
Ben Keating all of a sudden finds himself 13th now.
Yeah, amazing. But only 0.8 of a second off the pole. Of course, 0.8 around this place is a fairly big margin.
That's true.
So now we have got the top 5 separated by less than 0.2 of a second. 0.182 separates the top 5, those being Spencer Pumpelly in the Change Racing Lamborghini. Then the 2 Audis from Stevenson Motorsports, Andrew Davis and Matt Bell. Then Christina Nielsen in the Scuderia Corsa Ferrari. Then Madison Snow in the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. 2 Lamborghinis, 2 Audis, and a Ferrari make up your top 5.
Indeed, and the best of Porsches, surprisingly for me, Mario Farnbacher down in 6th position. Then the best of the BMWs, Brett Curtis in car number 96 in 7th. Then the Porsche of Patrick Lindsay in 8th place. Cedric Burjwali in car number 27 for Dream Racing. That's another Lamborghini in the 9th position. And he is fractionally ahead of Michael Marsell. Rounds out the top 10 in number 97 Turner Motorsport BMW. That's the same team and driver that won this corresponding race last year. Michael Marsell then sharing the Turner Motorsport BMW with Dane Cameron. The checkered flag is out on this session.
Andrew Davis and Matt Bell, the first 2 to take the checkered flag, so they are done. So it looks like Spencer Pumpelly short of a miracle from Brett Curtis, is going to claim the pole. And in fact, I think Brett has come to the pits. Nope, that's the number 22, Cooper McNeil, and the Alex Job Racing. That's another car that's kind of underachieved, I thought, a little bit in this session. So great performance by Spencer Pumpelly. Let's go to Shea Adam.
Spencer, wow, that's a way to throw it down and let everyone know that you're serious about taking this pole. Is it all the track time you've had today that's made the difference?
That's certainly helped, but look at that. It's .030, the difference in me and Andrew. And the 6 and 9 car are pretty strong, but I tell you, these guys in the 16 car, everyone at Change Racing, Monster Energy, Orion, all the guys at Lamborghini have really helped get this car along. And you know, we've struggled a little bit in qualifying. We have really good race pace. So today we actually had a good qualifying run, and I think we're still gonna have good race pace. Corey Lewis is as fast as can be. We'll probably mix up the strategy a little bit, but I can't say thanks enough to these guys, and I'm proud to get our first pole and look forward to tomorrow. It should be a good day.
You tried for the pole at Detroit. They put you in the car for that qualifying, and it was close, but it was a different Lamborghini that got it this time. Now you edged out the other Lamborghinis. Any sense of accomplishment for the team in particular because of that?
I think it's such a tough field. I mean, there's not a single car out there we're not looking at nowadays. You know, we like to be the the best of the Lamborghini bunch. So do all the other Lamborghinis. But there's not a car here that is not an accomplishment to be better than. This field is just so tough, top to bottom. So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure all the guys feel good, but we also know we got a big race tomorrow, and I think this is our best qualifying. Hopefully, we can do our best finish tomorrow and get the W.
Good luck.
Thanks. Thanks.
That team has a best finish so far at Mosport. They were 5th there, 6th at Belle Isle.
Yeah, but it's a kind of case of woulda, coulda, shoulda for that team this season. They were fast at Watkins Glen. They got themselves up in the top positions there until they had a problem in the late going. They've had various other races where they've had just little niggly things to stand in the way. And I think I might have talked about earlier in the day, that team has just made big strides. It's the team's first year in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, moving up from the Blancpain Super Trofeo series from last year. They've run cars very competitively there, but Robbie Benton might be fairly quiet, but he's certainly a determined team owner and team principal, and he's moving that team into contention. With every passing weekend, they get closer and closer to the front, and finally the first pole, very well deserved for that entire team and for Spencer Pumpelly and Corey Lewis, who will share the number 16 car tomorrow. When Shea spoke to Spencer earlier in the day, he alluded to the fact they hadn't really decided on their strategy for qualifying, whether they would, whether it would be Corey or Spencer that qualified. And he also suggested they might contemplate making 2 pit stops in the race because it's physical out there, and particularly mentally taxing as well, with all the traffic that we've heard several drivers talking about, particularly Alex Riberas earlier in that session. It's a real mind game out there. It's really, really hard work to concentrate.
I know. All right, guys, right here.
The race on 1 pit stop, but only if there's a prodigious amounts of full course cautions, and of course you might not actually count that out. But
and they'd have to come fairly early to be able to make that strategy call too, wouldn't they?
Probably, yeah. It's going to make it. I don't think you certainly wouldn't go into the race banking on it just being 1 pit stop. You'd certainly plan on 2 as a more likely scenario.
All right, so that's GTD.
Trying to throw some love to your sponsor, get you on TV.
That session is complete. Spencer Pumpelly on the pole, 53.148. Then Andrew Davis in the Audi, 53.178, Audi number 6. Then the team car, Audi number 9. Matt Bell at a 53.222.
That's close, isn't it? .074 covering the top 3.
Isn't that fantastic? 1/10 of a second, basically, separating the top 4, because Christina Nielsen is in at a 53.250. She's our points leader. Madison Snow, 5th at 53.330. Mario Farnbacher is 6th at 53.538. Then Brett Curtis in the Turner Motorsports, number 96, 53.588. Then Patrick Lindsay in the Park Place Motorsports entry, 53.609. Cedric Spears-Wally in the Dream Racing Lamborghini, 53.9 53.680. And rounding out the top 10, Michael Marcel in the other Turner Motorsports entry, number 97, at a 53.695. 5.547 separates, 0.5 of a second separates the top 10 as they will start tomorrow. So now it is time for us to turn our focus to GTLM. And let's go to Shea to find out who's going to be qualifying these cars.
In the 2 Corvettes, we find Jan Magnussen behind the wheel of the number 3 and Tommy Milner behind the wheel of the 4. Tommy actually doesn't have a pole in this series, which is kind of hard to believe. Don't know who's going to be in the 2 Fords yet because those 2 cars have not made their way out onto the pit lane as of yet. In the Porsches, we find Fred Makovecki in the 912 and Patrick Pilet in the 911. The BMWs will be driven by John Edwards in the 100 and Dirk Werner in the 25. And in the 62, the Risi Competizione car, it's going to be Tony Vielander. And Tony is really, really quick around this circuit. So we have to keep an eye on that one as I hear a Ford approaching. So I should be able to tell you who are in those 2 in just a moment. Actually, I'm going to change that. I can tell you who's in the 67. That is the helmet of Richard Westbrook. And the 66 is making its way down. Has such a unique engine note, do these cars. That will be Joey Hand. So those are your GTLM qualifiers.
And I would say move the women and children back away from the racetrack. This is going to be wild. This is going to be flat out for 15 minutes. This is going to be take no prisoner sports car racing at its best to see who will start on the pole for tomorrow's Northeast Grand Prix in the GTLM category. This is factory pride. This is marketing dollars. This is win on Sunday, sell on Monday type stuff. And it is going to be extremely exciting.
It is, isn't it?
And I'm not being obsequious. That is what it is going to be. If you like sports car racing, you need to be here at Lime Rock because it's going to be fantastic.
First session this morning, it was Oliver Gavin who led the way in GTLM with a 51.3. Second session this afternoon, it was Dirk Werner, number 25 BMW, 51.1. So those cars picking up pace as they gain more experience here. They don't have a GTLM lap record here because they haven't raced here for the last 2 or 3 years. But the kind of GTLM lap record goes back to the LMS days. 2012, Bill Oberlin set the fastest time in qualifying then at a 50.920. Interesting, they haven't quite got down to those times yet. Curious, isn't it?
Very much so. You would have thought that.
But it is awfully hot today, so
yeah, well,
it certainly isn't optimal conditions today in terms of ultimate lap times. And we've been talking about the Porsches a fair amount. They've elected to run the last year's specification tyre on the Porsches. That's the 2015 spec medium. It was the medium temperature tyre they were planning. They have a sort of a cold, a medium, and a hot temperature tyre, and they were planning on running the intermediate tyres from last year. But as hot as it is, with the highest track temperatures we've seen all year long, they're actually not able to run those softer tyres because it's just too soft for the conditions here. So they're running the harder tyre, which is the tyre they've run all season long so far. So that isn't what they had hoped for this weekend, and you know they would certainly be hoping for cooler conditions tomorrow to enable them to run that slightly softer tyre.
Well, that is going to be, yes, because these conditions this weekend are the hottest we have seen. Less than a minute now before we get underway for this qualifying session. And what I was saying, Jeremy, is that these temperatures are hotter than anything we've seen this season.
Yeah, they are. What was track temperature this morning? 145 degrees.
Yes.
That was what our official, or semi-official at least, scoring system came up with. Green flag is out on the session, so stand back. This is going to be quite good fun, I think. And if you ask me who I think is going to be on the pole, I'm not sure I could give you a sensible answer.
Oh, I think anything you said with this group would be a sensible answer.
Well, you're absolutely right there, Jim. That's a very good point, because it literally is completely open coming in here. Certainly, anybody, any of them. Perm 1 from 9.
So first out was one of the Corvettes, Jan Magnussen or Tommy Milner. There goes the 912 out on the racetrack. That'll be Earl Bamber, the young New Zealand driver. Oh, that's Fred McAveeky. Okay, yep, just crossed over the timeline. Scoring page changed. So here we go. Out laps are going to be complete here very shortly, and then we're going to start to see some times. It's the 3 car that gets out first, chased by the 66, and then there's a big gap to the 67 Ford. So with let's check in with Shea as we wait for some representative lap times to come in. One of the best interviews in this series, Bill Auberly.
Bill, you're definitely one of the best interviews in this series, but you're also one of the best drivers. You've got more experience than just about anyone else, and especially when it comes to a track like this, so many laps in BMWs around Lime Rock. How does the M6 compare?
Well, it's tough. The Z4 was the most nimble, razor-sharp, amazing car ever, and it was made for this track. M3, likewise, pretty similar. I have followed that rondelle so many times to the victory lane here that I always said, it knows the way to victory lane. The M6, when you look at it, it's a different animal. This thing is 3 feet longer. It is a bigger car. I say where the Z4 was like doing brain surgery, this thing is like crushing ants with the sledgehammer. It is a twin-turbo beast. It's a lot harder to hang on to here. Dirk, believe it or not, he put the pedal to the metal in the last session, was P1 coming out of the last session, so he's figured his way around here. They're getting ready to send him out now. If anybody can do it, you watch Dirk. He's one of the best, and we've been making huge setup changes from last session to this session and on, and hopefully by tomorrow we get a handle on it and off we go.
You guys are still in the fight for the championship. I know you don't like to think about that maybe so close to the beginning of the season, but now we're well and through. How much does that come into your guys' strategy play?
Well, if we were leading, it would come into the strategy. We're sitting 3rd. We feel like we should have won the last race. We were on the podium in Watkins Glen. We were really quick in Mosport. We got a BOP change coming into this race, which means they took power away from us, which is gets you right with the knife right in the stomach. So we didn't need that, but we're all out. We were good hope of being right in the top 3, winning this championship. Now we've dropped down a little bit. We need to climb back up to that top step of the podium, climb our way back past that Ford, which is awesome, Corvette, which is awesome, and start getting some wins like we need to do, and that'll get us right back in the hunt.
It's a good thing you've got an awesome car underneath you to compete with the other ones then. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Shea Adam down there in the Continental Tire pit lane with Bill Auberlin. We've gotten some times to come through, and look at that, Jeremy. Fred McAveeky in the Porsche, number 912, through at a 51.6, but that doesn't last long. Joey Hand in the 66 goes through at a 51.323.
Yeah, it's close in between those two, and a 51.6 for McAveeky. That's about as fast as the Porsches have gone so far.
Richard Westbrook now goes through at a 51.177. So the Ford's quick right out of the box.
Yeah, now you're talking. That's the time that Dirk Vernon did was a 51.164 in practice 2 a little while ago. So almost down to that with his 3rd flying lap.
Westbrook still on it. He goes purple in sector 1. Down to a 20.970. Purple in sector 2 at an 18.433. So we should see a big improvement from him. As he comes through, 50.957. I think that's the fastest we've seen anybody in GTLM this weekend, is it not? 50.957 for Richard Westbrook in the 67. Tommy Milner goes through in the number 4 car. Still trying to come up to speed with that car. Tony Vielander through at a 51.791 in the number 62 car. Patrick Pile at a 51.613. Tony Vilander now at a 51.242, takes over second position. So it's Ford, Ferrari, Ford, and Corvette, followed by the 2 Porsches. Those are your top 6. Everybody else still trying to come up to speed. Haven't seen a representative time from Milner yet, nor John Edwards, nor Dirk Werner.
Joey Hand just improved to a 51.015 there, second fastest now behind his teammate Richard Westbrook, who also improved on that final lap to 50.900, and that is the fastest lap ever around here in a GTLM car. Eclipses the old ALMS record set by Bill Oberlin back in 2012. So now we're getting down to Tony Vilander, golly, 50.902.002 of a second behind.
2 1,000ths of a second. You don't get it. That's as close to a dead heat as you're going to see. Joey Hand through it at 51.015. He improves, but and he goes through now at a 50.848.
Yeah, Joey Hand actually went to the top there at 50.878, and then right behind him on the road, Richard Westbrook eclipsed that, as you suggest, by just 0.03 seconds. So just 0.05 cut of the top 3 at the moment. There's Tony Vilander. He's coming through sector 2 at the moment on the back side of the track. As now finally we get number 4 car, Tommy Milner, coming around to complete a lap.
That's his 3rd lap, yeah, 54.083, so he's got a lot of work to do. Vilander goes through, does not improve.
Slow lap for Vilander.
Very slow lap. He's cooling those Michelin tires, I'm sure. Here comes Magnussen through again.
Yeah, using every inch of the track at the exit of the downhill there. 51.4 that was for Magnussen, so no improvement. 50.9 again for Richard Westbrook. Another good lap for the number 67 Ford.
Top 3 now separated by 54 1,000ths of a second. That's 0.054 of a second.
We've seen the BMWs do this before, haven't we? We've seen the BMWs leave, go out a little bit later, wait a few minutes till the other guys tend to complete their runs, because generally speaking in GTLM, the tires that are the best for 5, 6, 7, or maybe 8 or 9 laps around here is a much shorter lap. And then they're kind of done, then they'll come in. And we've often seen the BMWs wait a little bit in the session, let the other guys kind of get on with their game, and then maybe come into later down a little bit of rubber, and the BMWs can take advantage of that. We've seen that several times before. Dirk Werner has just moved out there, and John Edwards also. They're 7th and 9th at the moment, but they've only completed 2 and 3 laps respectively. Everybody else has done 8 or 9.
Dirk Werner now goes purple in sector 1, and in fact improves to 4th quickest now at a 51.181, 3/10 of a second behind our pole sitter.
And Tony Vilander's on a good lap as well. He's about a 10th of a second slower in sector 1.
Milner
Milner
goes through at a 50.866, so he did find those 3 seconds. They were in the couch.
Wow.
Absolutely fantastic for Tommy Milner. So
Dirk Werner now purple in sector 1 as well, Jim. We're really seeing the game being up here. As Jan Magnussen on the cool down lap.
How many of these drivers are going to be in the 50s?
Yeah, we've got the top 4 now covered by 0.054 of a second.
Tommy Milner just 18 1,000ths of a second behind Richard Westbrook in the Ford, number 67. Dirk Werner has gone purple in sector 1, has gone blue. That's personal best in sector 2.
Yeah, he's just come into pit lane.
Yeah, he just came into the pits. Tommy Milner does not improve. Vilander goes through. No improvement there. John Edwards goes through. 52.150, so he's got a lot of work to do yet. Joey Hand goes through.
A slow lap for Jan Magnussen then, just cooling down those tires on number 3 Corvette. He's not gone on to a fast lap now either, so it'll be a 3rd lap at reduced pace inside the final 5 minutes in this 15-minute qualifying session. Tommy Milner again. He's on the case. That was another great lap by Tommy Milner. It was an improvement.
Yeah.
In fact, I think he was only 0.017 of a second behind. Now he's 0.010 behind. That was that lap there was a 50.858 to the 50.848 of Richard Westbrook in car number 67. Boy, nothing to choose between the Chevy and the Ford.
John Edwards continues to improve. He goes to a 51.431. Dirk Werner is now back out on the racetrack. He's gone purple in sector 1, so he's still got his head down. Magnussen goes through.
He's now onto a quick lap. I think he seemed to carry good speed through on that lap. It wasn't a quick lap. The previous lap was a 56. Comes his teammate, it's Tommy Milner. What can he do on this lap? No, not quite as quick. A 50.914. That's another good lap though from Tommy Milner.
Personal best now for Richard Westbrook in sector 1, so he's looking to improve on his 50.848 time.
Dirk Werner, even though he was purple in the first sector, lost all that time. Lost a second and a half in the middle sector. Second and a half in the middle sector. Wow.
Yeah, he went to 52.504, right? Yes, that's it. Richard Westbrook, 18.4. 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes now. Zeros. 50.748 for Westbrook. So now he has a tenth of a second on the top 4 competitors. He's got the top 4 now separated by 0.154 of a second. Jan Magnussen comes to the pits with 2 minutes and 57 seconds remaining. Dirk Werner to second position at a 50.834, just 86 one-thousandths of a second off the pole. So it's Ford, BMW, Corvette, Ford, then Ferrari in the top 5.
That's cool, isn't it? And what's interesting about that to me is that there was no improvement on his previous best efforts through sectors 2 or 3 for Dirk Werner. He went fastest of all in sector 1, but no incremental improvement in the final 2 sectors, and still gets to within 0.086 on that last lap. Red flag, though, is out.
Red flag.
That's going to bring this session to a close.
Yeah, it certainly will, and we've got 10 minutes complete, so it is an official session, so we won't lose anything there.
It's not Richard Westbrook. He brings that car onto pit lane right in front of us.
So, red flag out on the racetrack. Could it be for Joey Hand? Showing a red symbol next to, yes, Joey Hand is stopped out on the racetrack in the number 66 car with 1:45 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and as a result of that, he's had his best lap, I think, taken away. So he falls down to 5th place now, Joey Hand. I think he was I can't remember what the time was, but it was a 50.8, I think it was. He's now shown as a 51.015. So that's the penalty you get for causing a red flag stoppage in qualifying. They take away your fastest lap of the session. So bad news for number 66 car, but it doesn't affect Richard Westbrook, his teammate, who looks here as if he's set for his second pole of the season, the 4th in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. 2 of them coming in the prototype class. Now it's to be a 2nd in GTLM.
Let's go to Shea.
There we go. Richard Westbrook got the mic working now. It's another pole for you guys. You've been riding a pretty high wave lately. Did you think that you could do it in Lime Rock, though?
Absolutely not. I really didn't. But yeah, we seem to, I don't know what happens with the track, but seems to bring the balance back to our car for qualifying. We noticed that a few times this year, but now we've just been working on our car for, the limited time that we've had, and just improved it every session. And yeah, the car felt really good then, especially in the last corner, which is so much fun here when you got it hooked up in the last corner. So yeah, thanks to everyone on, in this full performance Chip Ganassi team, especially on our side of the garage. It's, yeah, we've just been on a really good roll, and but qualifying doesn't mean nothing at Lime Rock because there's so much that can happen in the race, and as we all know, it's about being patient, and yeah, we've got to have our patient hats on tomorrow.
The checkered flag is officially out, which means you are officially pole sitter. I don't think you ever won at this track, though, do you? I know Briscoe does. His name's on a board upstairs.
What's that, sorry?
His name is on a board upstairs, Ryan, next to a 2007 race win. I don't think you have a win, though, do you?
No, never won here. I've had a pole here in the DP in the Grand Am days in 2012, but first ever podium in America was here. So, no, I've got fond memories of here. It's different, I'm not going to lie, but I'm sort of liking this place a bit more than I did yesterday.
Well, every little bit helps. Congrats on today.
Cheers, thanks, Chef.
Absolutely wonderful performance by Richard Westbrook.
Yeah, it really is. And second pole in the last 3 races for Westy there. He was 3rd on the grid at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park a couple of weeks ago as well. So they, as you were saying there, that team very much on a roll. They got 3 consecutive wins under their belts as well. So
and their team car has a win at Le Mans. So
quite so ignominious though. Towed back here into the pit.
Yes, that's what caused the red
Might
flag.
have run out of fuel.
Ah, that could very well be.
I don't know.
That would be a logical thing. So it is out of fuel. We have confirmation from Shea that that is indeed the issue.
Miscalculation there at Ford Ganassi Racing. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, exactly. Prototype challenge is up next.
But hey, you know, it's so tight, isn't it, Jim? I mean, you've got to run everything to the absolute limit.
Exactly.
The drivers have got to push the cars to the limit. The engineers have got to push the cars to their limits as well. And if the lighter the car is, i.e. the less fuel on board, the faster it's going to be. And just pushing a little bit too much on that number 66 car, but number 67 got it absolutely perfect. And it will be another pole position for that car. But the BMWs are looking strong there, despite that slight turbo boost BOP change for this weekend. Down on both just a little bit compared to the other guys, but still a great lap by Dirk Werner within a tenth of a second. And that car's only completed 7 laps as well in this session. So his tyres are fresher than just about everybody. His teammate John Edwards, he also completed only 7 laps. Patrick Pilet in the Porsche, he turned his best lap of the day so far, 51.3 for the number 911 Porsche 911, but 7th fastest, but a 51.3, so just about half a second off the front-running times here. And most of the other contenders completed 10 or 12 laps. The most laps of anybody was indeed Richard Westbrook, who turned 14 laps during that qualifying period.
You talked about no margin for error when the top 4 are separated by 0.154 of a second. That is no margin for error. No. That's how the GTLM stacks up. PC is next, and John Bennett is standing by with Shea.
John Bennett, this track, this race means so much to you in particular. Growing up not far away from this circuit, what's it like to come back and compete at a home track?
Yeah, it's really strange. You know, for many years going to school in Newtown, Connecticut, not too far from here. Yeah, I spent a lot of time driving up here in my MG Midget when I was a kid and watching SCCA and IMSA Camel GT back then. And it's good to come back, and it's pretty awesome to find myself inside an IMSA prototype. And it's wonderful. But you know, now as an adult, you know, today, what you deal with at Lime Rock that you don't really realize looking through the fence as a spectator is just how short the track is and how that changes, you know, race strategy and risk management, et cetera. So it's really much like a road racing version of Bristol, and there's lots going on. It never goes away. You never get a chance to relax, and it's usually quite warm here. So it's a grueling race for sure, and I'm looking forward to it.
Why is it that the races that we always have that are up north are always the ones that are the hottest? I mean, Daytona, we're always freezing, and then we come here to Connecticut and we're sweating.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's we also race at COTA in Austin, Texas, and it just seems like this race is the one. And maybe it's how busy you are on track, but this is the one I look forward to every season to getting through, both physically and you know, a bit mentally too.
You've been doing a bit of global rallycross lately, just as if you didn't have enough already going on. How has that helped your development of road racing, and particularly driving the PC car?
I mean, for starters, it's you know, a welcome change. It's completely different than what we do in the IMSA prototype. Colin and I have gotten the opportunity to learn how to jump a car, and it's sort of been on the bucket list. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. The car definitely handles a lot. There's a lot of car control technique and driving on asphalt and switching back to dirt, and also the jump. And so I think in general, it in some ways helps me go faster in the prototype, and I think some of the things I've learned in the prototype and racing with Colin, also applies to the rally car. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a blast, and it's a way for our company, our race team, to expand a little bit into another form of racing. And we were fortunate to get Colin on the podium in our first race. So yeah, hopefully we'll continue our success.
Colin knows his way to just about every podium by this point. If you're going to let him qualify, are we going to see what we did at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, where he qualifies and you start, or have you not decided yet?
Well, a little bit like Mosport, the track time here at Lime Rock is pretty limited, and in a bit of a strategy move, we're looking at this qualifying session as one more opportunity to tune the car for the race on Saturday. And I don't think we've quite made the decision on who's going to start the car, but hopefully by the end of qualifying, we'll have a little better idea on the handling of the car.
And a pole.
Hopefully the pole, sure.
Thanks, John.
That'll be a big strategy move to make that decision, Jeremy, and to put a final button on that GTLM qualifying. You made a great point while Shea was talking to John about the manufacturers.
Yeah, 4 different manufacturers there at the front. Then in GTLM, and we talked about how close it was. Just over 1/10 of a second separating the best from Ford, BMW, Chevrolet, and Ferrari. That is so cool, and that is going to be just a fantastic race tomorrow afternoon.
So with Colin Braun qualifying the number 54 car,
that is interesting.
That could make things interesting, because I think we're going to see Van der Sande to start qualify the 8. That's kind of been what they have been doing. But then from there, Shea, I'm sure, will be able to tell us who the qualifying drivers are going to be. But that's an interesting move by the 54 car. Yeah, and
it's very easy to lose a lap around here. If you get caught up in traffic, and you can quite easily lose a lap. And that's certainly something that they don't want to do if you want out to win the race. Core Autosport, unusually, really isn't in championship contention. They've had a couple of DNFs this season, pretty much out of the team's control, engine problem on a couple of occasions. So they're not really in the hunt for the championship. They're 40-odd points behind.
Yeah, they're fourth.
Yeah, but way out of it in terms of
40
points.
40 points.
They've really got no chance to win it right now unless something really bizarre happens. So they're just trying to win the race. And it could well be they're going to have to make 2 pit stops during the race tomorrow. So again, it could be that Colin Braun starts out. If you can really get the hammer down, if it's green all the way through the first session, it isn't inconceivable. He might be able to put a lap on much of the field in PC. Then John to drive the middle stint, and then Colin Braun to finish off again. So there are certainly all sorts of different strategies that we can play out during the race tomorrow. But it's certainly interesting. It certainly goes against the norm. The norm is for the semi-pro driver to start the race. But we certainly haven't seen that on an exclusive basis. And last year here at Lime Rock Park, it was Stephen Simpson who qualified the PT car for JDC Mellor Motorsports and whistled off into the distance during the early stages.
So we're under 1 minute to go to the start of this qualifying. Let's check in with Shea and find out just who our qualifiers are going to be.
52 will be the 2-time pole sitter this year, Robert Alon behind the wheel. We've already heard that the 54 will be Colin Braun. In the 85, we find Misha Goikberg. I'm a little disappointed in that because last year Stephen Simpson did such a great job to grab the pole. He's not given a chance to go for it again. 38 Performance Tech will be James French. In the 20 bar 1, we find young Matt McMurray. In the 8 is Alex Popoff. The 88 is Mark Vame. And the 7, which is the new PC car running this weekend, Jose Gutierrez.
So kind of, as you say, Jeremy, mostly the Pro-Am drivers. I wouldn't really call Robert Alon a Pro-Am driver. He's been lightning quick many times this season. Green flag waves, we are underway, and Colin Braun will lead them out.
Yeah, and he's certainly going to be the favorite for the pole in this race. And hey, look, you know, the race is going to be on Fox television tomorrow, so a great opportunity for Collins to start up front here and make the race look pretty boring in the early stages. He's been he was fastest in the second session. It was completed a little bit earlier this afternoon. Turned a 48.990, did Colin Brown. Fastest overall in PC today was Renger van der Zande this morning in the Star Works Motorsports entry car number 8. Only 3 cars this weekend for the first time this season in Star Works. Great to see that. Great commitment there from Peter Barron's organisation. But it's going to be Alex Popov, who's not quite as quick as Renger, who will be qualifying the car this afternoon.
And it looked like Alex Popov was a little late getting out. The crew was still belting him in when the rest of the field took out, and he's still on pit road, so he may be waiting for a little while for people to get some of their laps in and maybe come into the pits before he goes out. Again, there's only 7 competitors in this category. Am I right on that? No, 8.
Yeah,
8 competitors.
A couple of cars going onto pit lane there. One was the Miller Motorsports entry.
Mm-hmm.
Here it comes now, and also
just
Jose Gutierrez as well. Oh, drive-throughs were they?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they are driving through. We have 13 and a half minutes remaining, and we should start to see some representative times shortly. It takes you have the out lap, then it takes a couple laps to get full heat into the tires, and then we really start to see some lap times that are going to be meaningful. Again, we expect these cars to be down in the 48s, don't we, Jeremy?
Yeah, I would think so. Around about there. High 48s possibly, or low 49s.
Well, Colin Brown goes through first flying lap, 49.719. So I'd say we're easily going to get down in the 48s because I'm sure there's more than a second to be had. Of course, right now he's got the racetrack pretty much all to himself. He was first out of the pits, and there's no traffic at all. And this is a very much a momentum and flow racetrack. So if there is no traffic in front of you, you can dictate your pace, and it's just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you are right there. And the other thing that's interesting about the PC class is the Continental provides a really durable, consistent tire for this class in particular. And you know, the cars are relatively light on their tires, and all that moves to go spin there for Misha Goikberg. Are we down turn 1?
Yep, down at turn 1. He's gone down the escape road. Not sure if he spun, but he has definitely gone down the escape road. So that is a lap blown for him, certainly. As we start to see now, to see if we see any improvement from some other times. Now James French goes through at a 50.414. So he is now the second quickest. Now Alex Popov heads out in the number 8 car. So he's now on his out lap with about 11 and a half minutes remaining in the session.
Yeah, and what I was going to say there before I was rudely interrupted by Misha Goikberg going off into the escape road was that unusually in PC we often see the cars running all the way through the session, and times as the fuel load burns down, the cars get a little bit lighter. They go faster and faster and faster. And often it's down to literally the last car on the racetrack to turn the quick lap and maybe snatch the pole position. So I think we can expect another good qualifying session here. Colin Brown there really laying it down there with a 49.1. You've got a whole full second on Robert Alon in car number 52 at the moment. And he, meanwhile, just got a couple of tenths of a second over James French in car number 38.
Robert Alon really trying at the exit of Big Bend, going all the way left side wheels right out on the edge of the pavement, and then he went quickly through the S's, kind of leaving poor James French to wonder where he had gone as he was off into the distance. The number 20 of Matt McMurray goes through at a 50.428. So now we have 4 cars that have put in what we would consider representative times. The 88 car, Mark Kavami, has gone through at a 53.189 in the number 88 Star Works entry. Also, as we said, Misha Goikberg, we're still waiting for him. He's probably had to come into the pits to inspect those tires. Hopefully he didn't flat spot them. And he goes through and completes a lap and goes through at 51.242. So he's starting to come to grips with that car.
Improvements for everybody on that last lap. Colin Brown's gone fastest now. That's the quickest lap of the weekend so far in PC. 48.888 for Colin Brown in car number 54 for Core Autosport. 49.5 there for James French, now second. 49.6 for Robert Alon, car number 52 in third. and a 50.1 for Matt McMurray in car number 20. That is fourth fastest, or at least it was. Who's gone better? Jose Gutierrez has gone better in car number 7, a 49.599.
Good lap for him, as we've now got 4 drivers below the 50-second mark. 1 driver below the 49-second mark. That's, of course, Colin Braun, 48.888. He's just gone purple in Sector 1, so we're going to see these times continue to tumble as James French just improved as he goes through at a 49.015, so he's almost in the 48s in the number 38 car.
He is, isn't he? And Jose Gutierrez there, the young Mexican in car number 7, just getting to the grips with that car. He just... that was his fastest lap of the weekend so far, 49.599 last lap round. His first sector on this lap was 2,000 slower than Colin Brown. He does improve again there, 49.033 for Jose Gutierrez. Still third fastest though in car number 7.
Brown goes through and improves at a 48.824. French improves to a 48.984. So fantastic times coming through.
Yeah.
Now just 0.160 of a second separating first and second place. It's a full tenth of a second, but man, that is pretty tight.
That is excellent effort. I mean, that's a half a second found there for James French. His best lap was in the second session of 49.4. So he's found a half a second between practice 2 earlier on this afternoon and qualifying right now. That's a great effort by the youngster from Wisconsin. His home race coming up next at Road America. It's just down the road in Sheboygan. But that's a fine effort here with for James French. 48.984. As you said, we're expecting faster and faster times as the session rolls along. That time around, Colin Brown just taking a little bit of a breather, taking a little bit less out of his tyres. He's going to probably build up for one more run, though, right now, because I'm sure he was expecting a margin of more than 0.16 of a second.
We're halfway through the session, 7.5 minutes remaining. Colin Brown continues at the top, chased by James French, then Gutierrez in the number 7, then Robert Alon and Matt McMurray. All of those drivers are now in the 49s, as is Alex Popoff in the number 8 car. He goes to a 49.751, so now the top 6 drivers are all separated by just 0.9 of a second.
Yeah, and top 4 now by just over 0.2, because there's an improvement there for Robert Alon in car number 52 to a 49.069. It's against a 49.033 of Jose Gutierrez, the 48.9 of James French, and 48.8 for Colin Brown.
Jose Gutierrez just had a close moment with the number 88 of Mark Cavami. He got a little bit too close to the back end of Cavami. They touched, and you could see a piece of the bodywork, a yellow panel, went flying in the air. So that could adversely affect his aerodynamics, as Cavami is now kind of in the way of Colin Brown, who has gotten right on his tailpipe as they've come down the hill and go into turn 1.
Robert Alon is tucked in pretty close behind those two as well. Robert's just his last lap was a 49.109, not quite as quick as his previous lap, but still another fast go around there for Robert Alon in car number 52. 49.069 his best.
Misha Gorkberg now joins the 49-second club. He's 49.972. That's his best lap of the weekend so far.
Yeah, so all of the PC cars now are beneath 50 seconds, apart from Mark Kawami, who's just done his best lap at a 51.8. So he's getting closer. Got a lot less experience, venture capitalist, than most of these other guys in this field.
5.5 minutes remaining in the session now. Does Colin Brown have any more, and does James French have any more for Colin Brown? Or does Robert Alon, perhaps, in the 52 PR1 Matheson entry, have anything for the boys?
Yeah, good laps for both French and Gutierrez on that last lap. 49.0 for James French. It's about a tenth of a second away from his best, and a 49.1 for Jose Gutierrez, who's just gone fastest of all through sector 1. That's kind of a 7. Saw him
Maybe that bodywork's helping him.
Well, save a little bit of weight, huh?
Change the aerodynamics in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, the engineers work so hard on these cars, and the drivers are going to damage the cars to go faster. It's really irritating.
Ungrateful.
It goes to Gutierrez. It is an improvement. 48.978 for the number 7 car as he heads into turn 1 and up into second place then for car number 7, just 0.154 behind the fastest man so far. That is Colin Brown in car number 54.
Alex Popov also improved. He didn't improve his position, but he improved to a 49.381. So that's now just 0.5 of a second behind Colin Brown with 4 minutes remaining. That's about, whoa, wow, Gutierrez just takes too much curb in the chicane and really clouded the right rear at the second element of the chicane and darn near spun the car. So that was a close moment as Gutierrez pushing too hard through the chicane, taking too much curb. That's going to cost him a lot of time on this lap, and hopefully he hasn't damaged the suspension on that Oreca.
Great effort though by Jose. I mean, 49.650 was the best that car managed in the second session earlier on this afternoon. It was actually he who set the time rather than Sean Rahal, but he's now found about 3/4 of a second in this qualifying session, up there at a 48.9 for Jose Gutierrez in car number 7.
So just a little over 3 minutes remaining. Colin Brown hasn't given up as he drops 2 wheels off at the top of the hill as he comes down through the diving turn, then takes all the way using all the racetrack on the left-hand side. He is fully on it as he goes through and does not improve. He went purple in sector 2, but did not improve on his lap time. He did a 48.856 as opposed to his 48.824.
Yeah, so the 2 fastest laps in this session now set by Colin Brown. He's still just over 1/10 of a second. And there's James French, who improves to a 48.930, up into second place again in car number 38 for Performance Tech Motorsports.
2.5 minutes remaining now. As Jeremy said, this could be whoever is the last person to take the checkered flag will be the last person to improve. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to catch the man in the white number 54, Colin Brown. He has been flawless in this session so far.
Improvement for Alex Popov in car number 8, for Matt McMurray in car number 20, and Misha Goldberg in car number 85, but they're still 5th, 6th, and 7th. Popov there, it's a good lap by him, a 49.222, the Venezuelan, and that is just within 0.4 of a second of Colin Brown's fastest mark so far.
Kwami's now down to a 51.629, so he too continues to improve. He just can't seem to muster enough speed to get up there with the top 7 and really play for the action. No,
and it's going to be a battle for him in the race because he's a little bit behind the GTLM cars as well. There'll probably be a break at the start of the race between the PC cars and the GTLM cars.
Brown goes through 48.978.
Robert Alon is on a quick lap. There he goes into second place. Robert Alon in car number 52, Jim. Wow, a 48.840, so 0.016 of a second now between first and second.
I was waiting for somebody to get within that 1/10 of a second mark, and Robert Alon was the man to do it. So now, can James French or Gutierrez answer Robert Alon? And boy, that's going to keep Colin Brown with his foot in it for the rest of the session, because he can't take a break. No. 45 seconds remaining in the session, so he'll get one more lap as he comes down the hill, and he'll go under the starter stand with about 35 seconds remaining in the session, so he'll get this one more lap. We'll see who else can get another lap out of the session. Here comes Robert Alon through. He'll get another lap. He does not improve. Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. He went through at a 50.732.
Yeah, and James French, he was on a slow lap as he came past here, so he will see the checkered flag next time around, so there will be no improvement from James French, I don't believe. Colin Brown, though, he was on a good lap as he came through here, for 49.0 it was, so only a couple of tenths away from his best. As Matt McMurray gets down to a 49.266 in caliber 20. There is the checkered flag.
Checkered flag waves. James French is the first to take the checkered flag. Here comes Colin Brown down the hill. Does he have anything left in that Orica? His best time, 48.824. And he goes through to 49.050, so he does not improve. Now they've taken the checkered flag off of Robert Alon, so he may indeed get another lap. As Alex Popov has come to the pits. Gutierrez has come to the pits. Matt McMurray is still out there. Misha Goikberg is still out there. Goikberg goes through, takes the checkered flag, does not improve. McMurray goes through, takes the checkered flag. So it looks like our top 7 have all broken the 50-second barrier, and we have 0.8 of a second separating first through 7th. That is absolutely fantastic, Jeremy, as now, yes, indeed, everybody has taken the checkered flag. So that's going to mean Colin Brown is your pole sitter for tomorrow's New England Grand Prix, round 8 of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. What an absolutely fantastic performance by Colin Brown. Great job by Robert Alon, James French, and Juan Gutierrez to really give us an exciting qualifying session. The top 4 places separated just by 0.1 of a second, basically 0.154 of a second. So that is just an absolutely terrific performance. Let's head down to our Continental Pit Lane and Shea Adam to find out just how happy Colin and the team are.
Well, Colin, there is a smile underneath on the face of Colin Brown, beneath the helmet as he pulls off the gloves. That was a bit tighter for pole than I think anyone was expecting. Robert Alon did a really great job to put you on your toes there at the end. Just how hard were you pushing to try and get that pole?
Yeah, I mean, for us, you know, we planned to use that more of a test session than anything else. So for us, it was just about pushing the whole time. Kind of got mismanaged a little bit by all the other cars and traffic and people going slow and people holding people up and all that. So that was a little bit of a messy session when we had the tires that were the best. So I think we gave up a little bit there. But, you know, again, we were just using that as a test session to try and make some better changes for tomorrow's race. Obviously, we race in the heat of the day. So, you know, important to have that practice.
It was a bit of a strategy call for you guys to qualify yourself and then have John start the car at Mosport. Are we going to see the same thing again? I asked John, but he wasn't going to give any answers.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, these Cardo Sport guys are really good on the strategy side between Colin Mason and my dad. And you know, we got some really good cars that that these guys build. So, you know, unfortunately, I don't get to make the strategy calls. All I know is every time I've qualified the car, we've been on the pole and won the race this year. So my vote is, you know, keep doing what we're doing.
That's all you can ask. Good job.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So excellent performance by Colin Brown to get the pole for tomorrow's round 8 of the IMSA WeatherTech Championship in the PC category. So three really exciting sessions, Jeremy, and 3 very deserving pole sitters.
Yeah, very much so. I completely agree with you there, and you know, nothing to choose between several contenders in each of the classes. That's exactly what we want to see. That's what we normally see, and that's certainly what we've seen this afternoon. And that is the 3rd pole of the season for Colin Brown. As he said, he's converted the previous 2 into victories, but both in different ways. The first one was at Sebring, the second one last time out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, where he started on the qualified fastest, but then elected to go to the back of the grid because they changed the strategy to let John Bennett start that race. And then Colin Brown came through and won it again at the end. So I don't think we'll see that driver change for tomorrow like they did last time out. I'd be very, very surprised. And I think Colin Brown now will be looking to convert that pace and run a good race. But I think that was a brilliant effort by Robert Alon, James French, and Jose Gutierrez there to get so close to Colin Brown. You might say he's been treating it as a test session, but that was the fastest he's gone all weekend. And the other 3 guys really did step it up to get very, very close and push him hard all the way to the end of that session. That was fun.
I did not honestly think we'd have 4 drivers in the 48s.
No.
I figured a couple perhaps, but not 4.
Yeah,
so
no, I agree.
An excellent performance by Alon, French, and Gutierrez, taking nothing away from Braun, but they really were the ones that gave us a great show.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And that bodes well for, I think, for a really exciting race tomorrow afternoon.